Hello, this is Formula One Fans of America, Season 2, Episode 22. We're going to be talking about the Austin Grand Prix at COTA, Circuit of Americas. Let's jump right into we were right, we were wrong with our predictions. I had Leclerc, Max, Oscar, Lando, George as my top 5 kind of predictions for the podium. Pretty accurate. It was kind of a safe pick. Meg had Oscar, Max, George, didn't want Lando, and Kimi. Jay had Fabe, or Jay was not on, so we don't.
I'm on the podium.
We had nothing from him. Fabian had Oscar, Max, Lando, Hajar, and Kimi. We'll go ahead and jump right into the we were right because Jay was right and I was very much wrong for writing off Max.
No, you weren't the only one.
Well, yeah, pretty much everybody. And I mean, even Max himself was writing him off for the Drivers' Championship, and so. It's not bad that he's back and competitive. It is now fully a 3-way race. George Russell is far out of contention, and I think Leclerc is officially mathematically eliminated, but he might not be yet. Either way, you can pretty much realistically rule out George and Leclerc, but you cannot count Max out. The other thing, too, is Max could single-handedly put Red Bull into second for the Constructors, because that's been a battle between Ferrari and Mercedes all season. Mercedes is still in the lead. Antonelli, unfortunately, had that contact with Sainz, and he could have scored some points probably, but didn't happen for him this weekend. If he keeps scoring points, they can definitely pass Ferrari. But if Max keeps winning and taking first and second the way that he has been, he could very realistically put Red Bull into second place on his own. And so Yuki's still struggling. What do you have? 2 points this weekend, though?
I don't know.
3? He took 8th in the sprint and 8th in the GP. So he had points.
So you got 1 for that, 2 for that, 2 for the race. So yeah, 3.
Okay. I mean, it's good that he's in the points. It's not great that he's so far behind Max, but it's kind of what do you expect?
So sprint qualifying, he kind of got screwed by Red Bull themselves by pushing him out too late. So I really can't blame him for that sprint race, and the fact that all the carnage that was going on and people driving out their minds during the sprint race, and he made up 15 or 12 places, I think it was something stupid, 11 places. Red Bull can't be mad about that. And then during the race, he made up another 7, so 18 places in a weekend. You really can't be mad at that, especially whenever there's circumstances outside of his control. So
no, for sure. I mean, he drove a very good race, and like you're pointing out in the GP where it really matters, he did overcome 7 places because I think he started in 15th and finished in 8th. So I mean, hats off to him. It's he's not underperforming, but he's not. They're not going 1-2 the way we would like to see him. The way
some of us would like to see him.
I'd like to see it. I would like to see him do well.
I'm talking about Meg. But poor Meg.
I'm gonna sit over here with my feelings.
I'm surprised they're not dead inside like a Ferrari fans.
Oof.
I mean, after this weekend.
Why are you firing shots
Ferrari
at
did all right
me?
this
He's
weekend.
sitting over here hanging out.
Ferrari did well this weekend.
I
what are you
haven't
talking
gotten. I'm saying, when was the last time that they've really done anything productive? Last year, year before that? No, 2023.
Last year, they finished second in Constructors.
Considering Max has more wins than Ferrari has in the past 20 years.
This is Roast Ferrari Day.
Damn, I feel like the attention should be on McLaren right now. Why are you firing shots at Fabian? He's just here.
Because he fires shots whenever I'm just there.
Well, let's go ahead.
So it's my turn.
Let's talk about McLaren.
You lying mother trucker.
Hey, we're trying to pivot. Get on board.
Fine.
Third time's
yes.
Let's go ahead and talk about McLaren. Can Oscar hang on to this? Do you think, or is this windowing, or is this go ahead and jump over.
Of course he can.
Being
Of course he can hang on to it. I mean, I know for a fact that Jay is going to advocate for him not hanging on to it, and he'll come up with a reason and an analysis for why he won't. But the truth of the matter is Oscar can hang on to it, and he will hang on to it. That's what's going to happen.
Because he's shown it since Monza.
It doesn't matter what he's shown. It's all about the carnage going on in these races right now. And all Max has to do is have the right guy on the first row, or he finish P3 or P4 in quali, and that's when it's going to end his reign, because something's going to happen.
Okay, so I'm going to kick the Oscar fanboy off the carton that McLaren completely disappeared behind. First and foremost, that car does not have what it had at the beginning of the year. Simple as that. Something happened. Something changed. It hasn't been the same since the summer break. So I don't know what happened to it, or what, a race or two after the summer break. I apologize because I see Meg giving me the eyes. But something happened and changed in that car. Oscar's driving. He's driving scared now. He's driving under pressure, finally, for the first time this year, where he has the chance to actually lose the Drivers' Championship. And he's showing what most new champions have shown. I'm not going to completely rule him out, but you also have a very hungry Lando who has gotten his hand smacked at least 8 times this year by either the media or McLaren. And I think this past weekend, with Zach coming out and saying, "Oh, Lando will be punished," like, I think that snapped something in Lando. I don't think he's going to sit behind and like let it happen. McLaren put out a hell of a race this weekend, for starters, and Oscar still managed to not actually be able to pull the points that he should have if it was still the same way he was driving before the summer break. 2.6 second pit stop compared to Lando's 3.6. So right there was a second gained. He should have been able to undercut Lando. Simple as that. His quali, Max wasn't even able to run a second lap, and he still outdid both McLarens. Oscar going for a move that he was questionable on. Granted, a lot of that was on Hulkenberg. I will say that. And it pains me to say that because our Lord and Savior, Hulkenberg. But realistically, there was so much that Oscar has done wrong in Baku. I think Fabian can even agree with me on that one. That nobody was even near him, and he bends it into a wall twice. Like, that's not your cold-blooded driver right there. Taking both McLarens out of the sprint race really hurt them and allowed Max to pick up, 16 points, I think, or 15 points on them? I think it was. Yeah, 15 on Oscar at the very least, or Lando at the very least. So you're looking at Max, who came back from 69 points or 49 points. I'm trying to remember. I saw a graphic the other day that had it on there. But in 4 races, he's covered that many points. If you think he's not going to be right there at Abu Dhabi, Fabian, I think you got another thing coming on that one. You're muted, buddy.
I got him.
Never said he wouldn't be there. Not saying that at all.
Isn't it weird how it always seems to come down to these last 2 races for the Drivers' Championship?
I don't know why.
Isn't it weird how I even said it when we were talking about it and speculating that I bet you there's going to be some FIA chicanery? I think I said that around week 6. And it was going to be keeping Lando and Oscar competitive with each other so that it wasn't a dead set Drivers' Championship by the end of the last race. But it's just so weird how it always seems to come down to the final race this season. It's almost like somebody's pulling strings.
So when did Max secure it last year against Lando? It was like 4 races out, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Singapore.
Secured it at Vegas.
Vegas.
Thank you, Fabian.
Yep.
Yeah, so 2 races out, he secured it. So, I mean, like, I see where you're going with this, but if they pull another 2021 script, I'll be amazed. But part of me still thinks that I was very much right on my last conspiracy corner, that either Max was doing it to get Horner fired, which valid. Yost didn't like Horner. Horner wasn't leaving on his own, so Max.
Do you think it was just Yost, or do you think Max had his own set of issues with him?
I think there's probably some issue, but at the same time, not that much, considering they always seem to get along throughout. Like Yost, it was a cold-blooded standoff all the time. You could see it. Max kind of looked like, God, I hate saying this to him because he is a kid like that, but Max looked like the divorced kid in between the two parents getting pulled each way. And I think there was a part of it that
where one abuses you and the other one gives you a car.
I was trying not to go there, Meg. Damn you. But regardless, I think Max was underperforming earlier in the year, whether that be to get rid of Horner or whether he was like the rest of us and bored and wanted to see how many points he could come back from and still win the championship.
Or just burnt out too.
Or it was
and
a power
also
struggle.
Pursuing other things. He has other
or it
things.
could have been a power struggle. Like Horner knew that his time was probably coming to an end with everything happening. And he was probably fighting with Max a lot, saying like, I'm going to do what I want with the car. Your job is to perform in it. So figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel like he has a big enough ego to orchestrate.
There was a lot of complaints about the car. He's certainly enjoying the fruits of his own labor and inputs into the car. And we're seeing that translate into performance on the track. And so, I mean, it keeps getting highlighted with Mekis and, you know, the engineering aspect of it and the side of car performance improvement being sourced from driver input keeps getting highlighted. So there's definitely some truth there. As a driver, you have to imagine that he enjoys that far, far more. Let's stay on the topic of McLaren, though. What do you guys think those repercussions are for Lando and Oscar? Do you think it's kind of like team orders favoring Oscar from here on out? Or like, let's go ahead and jump to Meg. What do you think the repercussions are?
I don't know. And honestly, I don't even know if there really truly was any. Like I can see everybody, or I can see them like issuing a statement that there were repercussions and having the drivers talk about it just to shut the crowd up. But like, in my mind, I don't think they would really like punish Lando because he's still their golden boy in Zach Brown's eyes. And Oscar is kind of underperforming right now.
I was under the impression that it was going to be pit strategy stuff, like abandoning the obvious manipulation of the pit strategy that they were actively engaging in, you know, to not do that for the rest of the season. And that would be the repercussions. Like, okay, we've tried to give you a hand up, but now your hand up is gone. So don't expect that. That's what I expected it would be. And obviously we have to watch and see what happens. But
agree with you. Yeah, we didn't see a situation where it would have been advantageous for either one of them, and they made a call. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. I agree with you, though. Jay, what do you think?
So if you look at ever since the Canadian GP, where Lando hit Oscar and actually damaged his wing instead of doing anything to Oscar, you'll see that every single qualifying except for one, I think, Oscar has went out on his choosing, and I think it was second. So I'd have to go back and try to find it. But yeah, so he's been being punished since the Canadian GP, I think. Now, this latest one, I wasn't here for this, so I apologize. I didn't get to talk about this at all. The latest one, that was straight up hard racing. Like, if MCL's really that angry about that one, that's pathetic at that point. And if they're actually going to punish him, like with pit strategy, where normally you would hear them asking Lando, like, do you want to come in first or what do you want to do? And then I know heard them say to Oscar, what would you prefer to do here? So I'm wondering if you're right, like with the pit strategy, like, hey, they're going to give Oscar first dibs and everything like that. But at this point, if they try to do any type of team orders, I think both drivers are going to tell them to piss off. I really do. Because at that point, how do you favor one driver over the other? And I don't care if Oscar is in the points. You literally have them separated by 14 points at this point. You have to let them race, or you're going to lose one of them at the end of the season.
You think one of them's gonna pull a Colapinto and completely ignore team orders?
I was dying. I'm like, bro, as many times as you've crashed that car, like, don't stay back,
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's go ahead and talk about that, because we talked about the importance of team orders last season, and like in the early episodes of last year, because we had this, and it was like you're pretty much obligated to obey, because although at this point it was inconsequential as far as placing goes, it's so far out of the points. I think it was for 17th and 18th place, and so it's like, what does it matter, dude? Just shut up. Who cares if he's like, I guess you still feel like you have something to prove and that you can drive faster than him, but at this point, get both the cars home. Don't be stupid. And he ran him damn near all the way off the track in one of those turns. And, Gasly, being a little bit more experienced, was just like, okay, then take 17th, dude. Like, yeah, that was interesting. And again, you're in 10th place in the Constructors Alpine. You're not doing anything. So it's risky and reckless and pretty immature on him. So typical rookie bullshit. What do you guys got on that with Alpine?
I mean, I think you summed it up.
So
I think it's ridiculous that a team would be playing games with position when that's where they are on the track in the first place. And Colapinto's argument was, the driver behind him was faster. And if that was the case, then let's create a buffer and keep this dude back until this thing is over with. I don't necessarily disagree with his line of thinking. He clearly was quicker than his teammate. So why wouldn't you put that car ahead? I don't understand why you wouldn't do that.
Well, that's a good point. And the other point there, too, is all three of them were becoming back markers. So from a safety standpoint, get the hell out of the way and let the faster cars go forward. And so I do see the logic in, even though you're not fighting for a place or any kind of points, let the faster car through. And he is right there. He was definitely like right up on him. And so let him go by.
So
I think the reasoning, the logic, and the objection to it was that it was A, ignored, and B, it was very precarious the way that he did end up passing him, and unnecessary. So like, do it at a safer spot and in a safer venture, and communicate why you're doing it. You know what I mean? If you are going to disobey team orders. But go ahead, Jay.
So I think Gasly still has at least another year on his contract, if not another +1, correct? Either way, Colapinto is still fighting for his seat at the end of the day. And who are you going to be compared to the most? Your teammate. If you can get past him on the track, it doesn't matter if it's 18th and 17th or first and second, really. What's going to matter is that you brought the car home, for starters, which they both did. And two, which one of them has positioned better? And it looks better for Colapinto to stay into the sport. I mean, he spent half this year out of it, not knowing if he would get a chance to drive this year. So he's going to be hungrier than most, with the exception of maybe Liam Lawson. But I personally like the move. I really do.
If you were in charge of this team and hiring drivers, are you going to want a driver that ignores team orders? and makes an unsafe pass against your own team and almost takes both cars out of the race.
So for starters, he didn't almost take him out of the race. He almost just ran him off the track, which, let's be real here, we've seen how many people run off that track right there.
If they collided, they were both out of the race.
They were not going to collide. There was
inches away from each other. No, there wasn't.
Leclerc and Hamilton were closer, for fuck's sake. Sorry.
If
It doesn't
my
excuse
mother had
it.
balls, she'd be my father.
It doesn't excuse it. They were
But I'm
too
just
close.
saying, like,
Obviously, it upset the team.
yeah. But realistically, I want a driver that's hungry. Simple as that. Gasly is too comfortable in that car. And Colapinto is still fighting for a seat. Like,
There's also been so many times where the drivers will ignore team orders because they see something that the pit wall doesn't. It's not uncommon.
Right.
Granted, he did it in a very risky way.
That's what I mean. The execution matters here.
Well, Rich, I like the fact that you threw out the possibility and asked the if question, but you know what Max would say, if my mother had balls, she'd be my father.
And if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Just-
It all depends on who's running that team and what you want
you know, you,
for driver. So
valid,
yeah,
valid
I don't know if I
question,
necessarily
valid
want the one
concern.
that doesn't listen and thinks he
Looking at the past, though,
clearly.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, hindsight, made him look better. So that was good. But when you're watching during the race, it's like, oof, somebody's gonna get in trouble. Do some repercussions over at Alpine.
Right.
Speaking about things that are trash, Danica Patrick sucks. Like we talked about it last year. I'll talk about it again. And this has nothing to do with her gender, other than that's the only reason why I think she has a job. Just go ahead and tell like it is. Like if she
Actually, no, she bothers me.
female
also
racer.
with her gender in a little bit of a sense that she actively tries to dissuade other women from getting involved in the sport of racing.
Yeah, that's annoying. She's definitely should not be the gatekeeper. I mean, she did nothing to speak of or mention as a driver in NASCAR, excluding her gender. So if you just look at her merits as a race car driver, I think her highest accomplishment is leading a lap in Indy.
Yeah, and then there's the other aspect of things, right? So you have Danica Patrick, who, for all intents and purposes, is an absolute zero, not only of a human being, but certainly of a commentator. And then you have Hinchcliffe, who comes out of Indy, and this guy is probably one of the most enjoyable people to listen to commentate a race. And he had never really driven F1. In fact, didn't he first put his butt in the seat of an F1 car this past weekend for Haas? Like, honestly. But his knowledge of track position, car dynamics, racecraft, this circuit itself. I mean, I think last year was the first time I actually paid attention to Hinchcliffe commentating COTA. And I walked away from that race very impressed with his knowledge as a race commentator. And then you compare that to Danica Patrick, and it's like, what's going on?
So,
well, that's the other thing. Is like she's self-admitted that she doesn't know how to build a race car or the components in it, and like she just drove what was built for her, and that's insane as a race car driver. And it also just goes to show like the opportunities that were presented and provided to her. There were not two other people who were probably more qualified.
She was a PR stunt.
Yeah. And still is.
And now part of me thinks that Sky
because
Sports just uses her for rage bait.
You might as well, because nobody likes this. Like it's pretty unanimous. I haven't seen anybody in comment sections or heard of anybody that's like, oh yeah, can't wait to hear Danica Patrick wax poetic on Formula One racing. She has no idea what she's talking about. And it's very clear when she's standing next to a world constructors or drivers champion that actually does know what they're talking about, and they just can't help but roll their eyes at her because she says the most obvious generic bullshit that like nobody needs to hear, is protracted and circulating, and like talks over herself to say, seemingly 5 minutes, which you could sum up in 5 seconds worth of content in an actual comment. And it just blithering BS. Like
The only saving grace is
no.
watching everyone else's reaction to her as
Yeah.
she is trying to make a point.
It's a train wreck. It is.
It's like that scene. It's like the decathlon in the academic decathlon in Billy Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's dumber from hearing you. Go ahead, Fabian.
I just wanted to throw something in before we get into the juiciness that is the Lando and Leclerc battle, which I thought was really, really cool.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, I think he froze.
Okay.
That this circuit is now basically the race to turn one, and I thought that was a very interesting comment. And then in watching Joylan Palmer's analysis of the race this morning, he kind of confirms that that's really kind of where it is. It's the nature of that climb, the width of that turn, the blind apex, the positioning that you try to get from that P1 box, etc. It presents a tremendous amount of opportunities for things to go wrong. And he went back to 24, 23, I think even 22, I believe, in the analysis, and showed all the different ways in which things did and almost went chaotically wrong in that turn, and how that sets the tone for that race. So I think it's really interesting that, when you prepare for COTA going into the next season, you're preparing for the launch and the position and getting through that turn. And then you'll know what's what. That was all. Just wanted to share that.
So I want to step back 1 second on the Danica Patrick thing. She actually did win a race in a professional series. So at least give her a little bit of credit. But the rest of it sucks. So
What race? What race did she win?
Indy Japan 300.
Whoa. Okay.
It's still a professional race, yes or no?
Okay. Didn't say that.
I'm just saying, you said that she didn't win anything and led a lap or something.
I think it was a lap of the Indy 500. She led a lap of it, but
probably Daytona, but
whatever. Congrats to her. She won the Japan 300. Legendary. Everybody remembers it.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you for saying what I wanted to say.
I'm just correcting you. I have no respect for the woman whatsoever, but at least acknowledge an accomplishment.
It was like that dumbass NASCAR driver that said that he could beat an F1 driver, and because
no.
No, he's IndyCar. He's not a NASCAR. He was IndyCar.
No, this was a NASCAR driver that said
was a NASCAR driver
last year. Yeah,
It was
like
his name.
he won the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Doesn't he? Could have sworn he was.
But regardless, it wasn't even just an F1 driver. He literally called out Max, who just came off the RB19 season. Bro, get fucked. Yeah, Larson. Thank you, Fabian.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, I think his name was. Idiot.
Yeah, that dude was a. Is he?
Let's go ahead and talk about that. I'm sure he is. But...
And he was an IndyCar driver. It was right before IndyCar.
Okay.
Or the Indy 500.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was talking about that, but he couldn't even ever step foot on an F1 track. The whole thing is nonsense. We went back and looked, and Hamilton embarrassed Tony Stewart in a NASCAR that he'd never really driven.
Bad. I remember that one.
Yeah. They wouldn't even say the time difference, but it was significant enough that they were yeah, you beat him by a lot. So I'm guessing several seconds, which is hilarious to me, but not surprising. Let's talk about this Lando versus Leclerc battle, because good composure from Lando, great composure from Charles in pushing those tires further than I think we thought they were going to go. So he had a good strategy, but Lando didn't lose his cool and drove a very good race. Fabian, I'll go ahead and kick it over to you.
Yeah, Lando, this was probably one of the best races I've seen Lando run all season, if not between both seasons, to be quite honest with you. I don't give much to the Monaco win. Obviously winning Silverstone was pretty significant for him as a Brit. But in terms of just racecraft, I think what impressed me the most about this was the fact that there was the public announcement of the cooling the carcass on the tires, not a term that people hear very often from the pit wall during a race. I thought that was really interesting, and we threw up a piece on that today or yesterday on that, so that people could have a little bit more insight into that terminology. But what was really cool was seeing Lando actually execute a decrease of push in straights and a decrease in extreme braking to bring the carcass of those tires back into the temperature window so he could make the second push on a soft and actually get that overtake. Because that's exactly what happened. You know, he basically said with 7 laps on the softs that his tires were gone. He literally said that on the radio. And then he got that instruction from the pit wall, executed that tactic, and then re-pushed on those tires to get that overtake. And I think that was probably one of the most ballet perfect performances of, tiptoeing a car around a circuit and getting things right. And Lando did that. And it does show that, like Jay had alluded to in the past, that the dude does have some racecraft, in his DNA. And he gets better over time. If he can stay focused and out of his head, he can do some really cool stuff. And we got to see that. But Charles' defense was phenomenal in that car. I mean, he had that SF25 positioned so beautifully for so long. I mean, he did everything he possibly could to take the rubber out from under Lando and not get that overtake. So it was fabulous. And for those that are hearing this here for the first time, go watch it. It was amazing.
Yeah, very, very cool sequence of events. Jay, what do you got for this?
So I honestly think what he was doing at Spa was better. Like, realistically, as far as covering time, I mean, he got that gap down to 2 seconds at least 4 times during that race, Rich. And realistically, we were there at Spa. That track was still wet no matter which way you looked at it. I really think that, like I said before, I think out of the 2 McLaren drivers, Lando is the better driver. And now that you're starting to see him get his head under control and actually getting the help that he needs to get to that good headspace, he's pushing further and further. Honestly, I know this is going to make Meg angry, but if Max doesn't win the WDC, I would rather see Lando get it than Oscar. I really would. Just because of how much growth and how much he's done this year alone as far as his racecraft has come. So, I mean, the way that he was whipping the car around, like Fabian said, controlling the tires, which is something we haven't had to see McLaren actually do all year. And why I'm saying I think something changed in the car. He's a better all-around driver. And I definitely think that he would be deserving of the championship this year if he did take it.
Meg, I'll go ahead and let you rebut that.
I think they stopped mowing for a second. Okay, hopefully I can get it out. Every time I would go to open my mouth, it would get louder. I never thought I would ever hear Jay say the words that I hoped that Lando Norris would win over Oscar.
I've never been an Oscar fan.
This is true.
Persistently hated Lando. Very loud.
I still do, but I can still respect the journey that he's made. I can grow too, damn it, Nag.
Please.
Look, viva la evolution.
No, this was a fantastic race to watch him because you could just see his patience. He was behind Leclerc and just waiting for that moment. And then, like, the amount of awareness that he had for the rest of the race to keep him behind him was that we haven't seen from him in a while. It was definitely a very good race to watch. But I'm still a little iffy on the fact that, like, could he keep his head cool if he was actually in the lead of the Drivers' Championship with someone else nipping at his heels as close as he is to Oscar. Like, I don't think he's completely out of like that level of being in his head or letting his nerves get the best of him.
That's interesting. I mean, my comment on it was that it does seem that he's gotten the mental monkey off his back. I do wonder what would make it climb back on. And like you're saying, if there was added an additional pressure to this, although this is a lot of pressure right now. He's still fighting for the Drivers' Championship. He's not too far behind. And then he's got Max barking at his heels now too, and all the attention that's being focused on that. So maybe it's because more of the attention is being focused on, can Max do this versus can Lando do it? And that took a little bit off of his, breathing down the back of his neck feeling. I don't know. But he does seem to be handling this mentally better, especially when you compare these like head-to-head battles like he had with Max last season versus where he's at now when he goes head-to-head with somebody who's far more composed and less mistake prone and accident prone, really. So minus a little bit of the contact, but he's doing much, much better. And there's definitely some evolution there. It is also positive to note that like he's far more experienced than Oscar. So to compare the two, it's not necessarily an apples and oranges comparison. Lando's had more seasons with McLaren. So I think it's worth pointing out there if we're going to talk about the two of them in the same breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is what I alluded to earlier. And I think both of them are going to suffer with it, is that new, like the competing, actually being in competition for that championship. This isn't just, I have an outside shot at getting it. This is, we're in the lead or I'm right behind the leader and seeing how he does. Because, if you remember back in 21, granted, Max had the yeet into Silverstone and bowling for Bottas, but realistically, Max went back quite a bit of points whenever he was leading the championship. So there is, and I think it was it Button or was it Nico that had mentioned about that, like that whole stigma and the whole mindset of like, oh crap, I'm actually leading and I've got to do this X, Y, and Z differently so I can stay in the lead and yada yada. And I think that's where Oscar and Lando don't have the wherewithal yet to do it. Give it a couple of years for both of them. Give it a couple of years for Oscar, I should say. I think Lando got that monkey off his back last year, but I think there's still a possibility that it does show up.
Alrighty. Well, Fabian's about to depart for us. Going to go do some DJing. Thank you for coming on, good sir. Appreciate you.
You're muted.
I apologize for that, but continue on. Good show. Can't wait to hear what the conspiracy corner was about. My comment on the signs thing real quick was that grid penalty was justified based upon the fact that he couldn't finish. So that seems to fit with the regs.
Yep.
It does. It's a much more... We'll go ahead and jump into that real quick and then get to conspiracy corner and wrap. But it definitely was justified per the rules because he didn't finish. However, like I think the objection disparity there is like 5 grid places versus 10 seconds. That's a little bit of a jump. I would definitely like the 10 seconds over the 5 grid places. I think that's not really like debatable. But let's go ahead and jump into conspiracy corner. What do you guys have for this week?
I said my piece already throughout, which is I think something changed in regulations for MCL because they're not able to manage those tires anymore. Not like they were at the beginning of the year. Granted, Singapore and Coda are very different tracks for that. But Singapore last year, Lando had it by 32 seconds or something stupid. Like it was ridiculous. And then Russell won Coda, didn't he? I can't remember who won COTA last year.
I can't remember either, but he was up there. Regardless, yeah, your point still stands. I'm not arguing it.
Yeah, like those tires were still holding on for Lando last year. Now this year, you're meaning to tell me that somehow mysteriously McLaren, after having all of their investigations and everything like that, coming back from the summer break, no longer have control over their tires the way they used to. Maybe Horner was onto something. Maybe there is water in the tires. Sorry, Meg.
It's fine because he's not around for anyone to listen to him anymore.
Valid.
It's not a terrible conspiracy. I don't mind it. Meg, you got anything for Conspiracy Corner this week?
Oddly enough, no.
Zach Brown's an alien.
Huh?
Zach Brown's actually an alien.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Probably is.
He just
we'll go ahead and jump into our predictions. Sorry.
Wins Jeopardy and then gets into F1.
Wheel of Fortune.
Sorry.
Wheel of Fortune. I mean, that's how he got into karting, because he was able to pay for it. So I admire and respect the hustle. You know, as much as, you know, I honestly don't have a lot of negative things to say about Zach Brown. I know he's a bit of a shit stirrer, but I think you kind of have to be. I think he plays the role well in F1, whether he needs to be a villain or a good guy. He's got a good team of young drivers now that he can truly invest in. It seems like he's comfortable as a leader, and he's got all the, you know, ingredients for a good, solid winning championship team in modern Formula One. And so hats off to him. I got a lot of respect for him for what he's been able to assemble and like the leadership role that he's assumed there. And he still likes to race classic race cars on his own. So like, I'm a little bit jealous of it. And for him to come from such humble beginnings into the position that he's in today, I admire and respect that man. So I don't want to talk too much shit about Zach Brown, but you guys can.
I got a problem with people that haven't won something and still have that much pompous ass of an attitude. Not to mention, you're not a team principal.
He won Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, he won Wheel of Fortune, got a little bit of money. Yeah, got him money, like, and invested in himself. So hats off to him. You know, started his own racing career. You can't
I'm not hating on the early hustle. I'm hating on the current douchebag right now. There's a big difference.
Who amongst us knows how we would be if we were in his shoes? I can guarantee you I'd be a bigger douchebag than him.
Did you know?
I'd be like corner level of douchey.
Like recently for McLaren? Because I sure as hell didn't.
Say that again.
Did you know that there was two team chiefs that are very similar named for McLaren in the past 3 years? Did you know that? Because I sure as hell didn't until the lawsuit popped up.
I didn't pay attention. No.
Oh,
what are the
did
names?
you not know? Andre Stella and then Andre Stilly or something like that. Like it's that close.
Why is there a lawsuit?
Oh, Dune. Like, holy shit. Or no, not Dune. The guy before him, shit, what was his name? Hold on. I got this.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Alex Palou. Alex Palou's lawsuit against Zach Brown and McLaren because they misled him about his F1 seat. So apparently what happened was, and mind you, this is interesting. Did you know McLaren has a automatic delete policy for WhatsApp?
Wait,
but
what?
All employees inside of McLaren have to use WhatsApp, and they all have to have disappearing messages on.
So you can't scroll up and take screenshots. That makes sense.
What? Yeah.
We ain't trying to see Zach Brown
Government should probably utilize that
for Signal. The Secretary of War.
I'm not touching that one today, Rich. Please, my wife's still in for another fucking couple of months.
Moving on.
Sorry.
We love Charlie Kirk.
Can we get rid of that last 35 seconds, 45 seconds, please?
No.
No.
We're not trying to be marketable, Rich.
Yes.
I didn't say anything.
Money.
I did.
I didn't say anything. We didn't say anything. We didn't say anything bad.
You said I'm not going to edit it out.
We're good.
Fucker. Anyway, so Alex Palou has a lawsuit against him, or against McLaren, for mainly Zach Brown, actually. But apparently, he was promised Oscar Piastri's seat by Zach Brown. And then Andre Stelly, whatever the hell the dude's name was, went ahead behind everybody's back and signed Oscar. Yeah, like...
Wait, is that his countersuit?
Hang on. I'll send you a
Because
link.
McLaren is suing him.
All right. Let's go ahead and push this.
Yeah, let's just do predictions.
we'll redo it next week. And
Legal shit, like a deep dive.
yes, we will deep dive next week. So my predictions for next week are going to be, or in Mexico, got Max, Lando, Oscar, Charles, and Hulkenberg. I think he's pulling it together and doing good things. And as long as he doesn't get crashed out,
Crash out.
or crash out himself.
I want him to embrace Magnussen's spirit animal and just think.
I want to see him go fucking McLaren's.
Honestly,
So far without the effort.
it's interesting. We'll play it like Mario Kart.
Yeah, because that would put Max firmly in second and only 16 points behind Oscar.
Meg, who do you got?
I think Max, Lando, Oscar, Leclerc, and unfortunately maybe George.
Ew.
I know.
Is this the 20th race of the season?
Hmm?
Coming up? Yes.
Yes. Okay. This one's gonna hurt a lot. Max, George, Lewis is getting his.
Why did you email me when you put him in second?
Oh, hold on. I said this one was gonna hurt, didn't I? Okay, that's what I thought. This is truly why it hurts, is George and Lewis is finally going to get his podium with Ferrari. You know why? Because now he is the longest driving Ferrari driver without a podium.
Ooh. That's wild to even think though. 20 races in. He's
Yep. The previous record was 19.
7-time world champion. Tied for the most in history. Oh, damn. All right.
No. The guy got his his podium on the 19th race. So Lewis now holds it exclusively.
Officially. Yeah. Yeah, I was just citing his accomplishments, but okay.
Now, is this of all time or modern or just modern racing?
Ooh. This is a lot
Are you
about
gonna
Ferrari now.
snippet that and send it to Fabian?
Can we? Anyways,
WhatsApp. Finish your predictions.
Right. Lando and Oscar's going to take himself out of the race. So I have no faith in Oscar anymore. I'm sorry. And I'm going to agree with Rich on the Hulkenberg. So
I like it, man. I'm so hopeful that he just has this huge renaissance and resurgence period when he switches to Audi. I hope they come out with an amazing top 2, top 3 car, and he just starts podiuming every other race and gets to truly shine in a good car. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would just love to see it as a Hulkenberg fan, as I think all Hulkenberg fans would love to see. Fabian's predictions were Oscar, Max, Lando, Lewis, and George. So we're going to go ahead and wrap. We're actually only 10 minutes short. I thought this was going to be a lot shorter than our typical time, but we're only 10 minutes shorter. But this has been season 2. We're at 50 minutes right now.
No, we try to cut it at an hour and then we bitch at each other for an hour.
Sometimes. Okay. We've been actually pretty consistent at about an hour, just sort of organically, which is very nice too. So we're going to go ahead and wrap. But we will be back next week, hopefully with the full crew, and we'll be talking about the Mexican Grand Prix, wrapping up the North American circuit. Actually, no, we're not, because we still have Vegas left. So let me redact that. Call that or we were wrong for next week. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. This has been Formula One Fans of America, Season 2, Episode 22. We'll see y'all next week.